If you remember yesterday while discussing about blood, we had also mentioned about, I had mentioned about lymph, which is another type of vascular tissue. So if you see lymph, just like blood has different components, lymph also has different components. What about the composition of lymph? Lymph is similar to that, the composition is similar to that of plasma. If you just filter out blood, you will see that in case the blood cells get filtered out, what do we get? The remaining will be plasma. So lymph also has a composition similar to that of plasma. So it is a yellow viscous fluid which does not have RBC because it is not red in color, it is yellow in color. But it also is devoid of platelets. Both RBC and platelets which are present in blood is not present in lymph. But it has some amount of WBC or leukocytes. Okay, so in case leukocytes are present in lymph, it is clear that they are somehow or the other involved in defense. Other than leukocytes, lymph also has its own cells called as lymphocytes. Okay, they are also produced within the lymph vessels. So other than WBC, they also have their own cells which are called as lymphocytes. And what is the function of lymphocytes? They also help in building the immunity, fighting against germs or any kind of harmful organisms. So as I told you, lymph comprises of three components: lymph capillaries, vessels and nodes. So just like blood capillaries, lymph capillaries are also narrow vessels. Okay, they are very narrow and they are mostly permeable to different kinds of substances, mainly these large molecules or macromolecules. And the lymph actually, if you see the formation or production of lymph, it actually happens inside the lymph capillaries. And all these narrow capillaries, they join together to form large lymph vessels. And if you see the lymph vessels, they are not continuous. In between, if you see, they have these swellings because they become slightly bulged at certain parts. They are called as swellings. And these swellings are termed as lymph nodes. And what is the function of lymph nodes? I told you that lymph has a special type of cells which are lymphocytes. So these lymphocytes, after they are formed, they actually grow and mature at these regions called as lymph nodes. So I hope this is clear about lymph. Remember its composition similar to that of plasma, but it has only leukocytes and its own cells called as lymphocytes. And if you see lymph nodes are there, which is actually the site of maturation of these lymphocytes cells. And coming to the functions of lymph, so it maintains the volume of blood. Okay, so sometimes during filtration, if the amount of blood gets reduced, we know that the composition of lymph is almost similar to that of blood. So whatever plasma is there, that is again returned back to the blood. So it helps in maintaining the volume of blood in our body. And it acts as middleman. Middleman between what? Middleman between blood and different tissues for exchange of different products, exchange of different substances. Just like we saw that capillaries acts as middleman between arteries and veins, here lymph also acts as middleman between blood and different tissues for exchange of materials between them. And then as we saw, since it has lymphocytes and some amount of leukocytes, it again acts as immunity. It gives immunity to our body. It helps in fighting different harmful organisms or germs. Then in case whatever fats during digestion, in case any fats are produced in our alimentary canal, it helps in taking those fats and helps it in storage, transferring it to blood for its storage or utilization. Okay, so fats produced during digestion, they are actually taken in by lymph and then transported by lymph to the blood. Again, waste products, if you see, before directly entering into the bloodstream, they actually are absorbed by lymph and then lymph actually transports it to the bloodstream and then they are carried to the kidneys for filtration. So these are the functions of lymph. Just go through it once. You can see that some details are again given in your textbook. Revise it, go through it, and let me know in case you have any clarifications. So before we go any further and before we go to the details of the structure and functions of heart, we will just discuss how transportation occurs in plants. Okay, it's very interesting. I think you will have some idea how transportation occurs, how water moves from one part to another, how food moves from one part to another, and you also know which are the tissues, which are the elements which participate in transportation. Yes, you guessed it right. These are the complex tissues which you had learned last year, namely xylem and phloem. We know that xylem elements are involved in transportation of water and nutrients, and phloem, it is involved in transportation of the prepared food from leaves to different parts of the plant. So try to recollect which are the xylem elements. Xylem and element, they are made up of xylem and phloem, they are made up of 4 different types of elements. If you remember xylem elements, we have xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, tracheids and vessels. So for all these 4 elements, only one is living, xylem parenchyma, and all the others are made up of dead tissues. Coming to phloem, they are also made up of 4 different elements. They are made up of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Here if you see, it is the opposite. 3 of these elements are living and only phloem fibers are dead elements. Okay. So remember all the 4 types of elements of xylem and phloem, and the main function of xylem is to transport water and minerals, and phloem helps in transportation of the food, prepared food from leaves to different parts of the plant. So how does this transportation occur? How does the transportation of water and minerals occur? If you see, we know that water is absorbed by the roots, and along with water from the soil, different nutrients or minerals are also absorbed. So all this is taken care by the xylem elements which are present in root. So if you see the outermost layer of root, there are the root epidermis of root is interrupted by lot of root hairs. Okay, small outgrowths coming out of the epidermis, and these root hair, they are in direct contact with the soil particles and water. So these root hairs, they help in absorption of water along with minerals from the soil. How does this happen? Does it happen through diffusion or osmosis? We know that there is a layer of cell membrane, so this absorption of water occurs through the process of osmosis, movement of particles, solvent particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So this is through osmosis. So water from the soil is absorbed through the root hair. So this process occurs continuously, and from the root it moves to the upper parts of the plant. So there is some amount of pressure created here, and this pressure is termed as root pressure. But remember, this pressure is not high enough that water gets absorbed to the uppermost part of the plant, or if there are tall trees, for small plants like herbs or shrubs, this root pressure is enough. But in case you see tall trees, is this pressure enough to take the water and minerals to the topmost part of the tree? That is not enough. So other than root pressure, there should be some other force or some other pressure which should enable water and minerals to travel along. So here is where we are going to learn something called as ascent of sap. Ascent means what? Going from below to above. You have heard about ascending, increasing order, right? From below to the top. So ascent means moving from down to top, from lower parts to the top. So if you consider a plant or a tree, it will be movement from the roots to the top parts. Sap is nothing but water along with nutrients which are absorbed by the root. So other than this root pressure, there is some other pressure which is involved, which brings the nutrients and water to the top parts of the plant, and that is termed as transpirational pull. So this again brings us back to another term, which is transpiration. So if you remember, transpiration is nothing but loss of excess water through plant parts. Through which plant part? It is through stomata. So the guard cells, they open and close, they regulate movement of water. So whenever there is any excess water, that is released through stomata, and this process is termed as transpiration. So transpiration, it has its own advantages. Like one is, it helps to maintain the water inside the plant, and the second one is to keep the plant cool. Remember, whenever we just go out and come and it is very hot outside, the temperature is very high, our body starts sweating. Okay? And once we sweat, it tries to maintain our body temperature. It makes our body cool. Same way in case of plants, just like we sweat to keep our body cool, whatever excess heat is there, that is lost in the form of sweat. Here also, whatever excess heat is there inside the body of the plant, that is also lost through water vapor during transpiration. So transpiration also gives a cooling effect to the plants. So other than removal of excess water, sometimes the wastes are also removed through this water. So other than this, they also helps to maintain the temperature of the plant. So when this, how does transpiration occur? In case water has to go through the stomata, we know water is absorbed through the roots. So it has to, something has to pull the water from the roots to the topmost part so that it gets removed from the stomata. So there is a continuous pull created. So there is a root pressure, and then through transpiration there is a continuous pull created, so that there is a continuous water column formed from roots to the topmost part. So this continuous water column is created by, this continuous water column is called as ascent of sap, and this is created by transpirational pull. So if you see here, there are two more things which helps in this transpirational pull. One is, there is a connection, there is a force between the water molecules. So the water molecules, they bind with each other so that they create a continuous column. And another thing is, there is one force of binding between the xylem element and the water molecules. So these two also helps in maintaining a continuous column of sap. So remember, transportation in case of plants occurs with the help of two tissues, xylem and phloem. In case of transportation of water and minerals, especially in case of trees, tall trees and higher plants, if you see that transpirational pull is involved. So through transpiration there is a continuous water column created, and this is termed as ascent of sap. This helps in continuous movement of water from the roots to the top parts. So this is how transportation occurs in case of plants. So just go through it, and in the next class we will learn about the function of heart.